Hi, I'm Christy Conway with Charleston Home and Design Magazine, and I'm here at the Citadel's Johnson Hagood Stadium for the Charleston Home and Design Show, and I'm standing with Jim of EdgeWater Energy Services. Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Christy. How are you?
I'm doing great myself, because I'm standing next to you. You're always the most fun person to interview. Tell me about your product.
Well, we are EdgeWater Energy Services. We are a full-spectrum renewable energy as well as a huge electrical contractor. We handle everything from photovoltaic solar for producing electricity, thermal solar for hot water, industrial-sized solar attic fans were extremely popular in this area, conservation packages, as well as new home and retrofitting residential electrical work.
Okay, well that's a lot of stuff that you guys do. Mm-hmm. So you've been around for a while, but you actually just split off from the other company that you were working for.
Yeah, we were part of a national chain or a franchise, mm-hmm. and we broke away in April. Mainly, we've the Charleston area has been so good to us, mm-hmm. and what we wanted to do was to be able to give our customers here more of a product offering, but also be able to reduce that cost. And the only way we were able to do that was to re-partner up with a huge electrical distributor, mm-hmm. Second largest in the country actually. So that really helped us, bring our material costs down, which are of course being, passed on to our customers.
Sure, of course. So basically, by splitting off, you're saving your customers more money.
We're saving them a lot of money, but also too, you can get pretty much anything on the market. And and again, expanding out, not to just renewable energy, but things like tankless water heating systems, generators, things like that.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Then you were Solar Tech, but now you're EdgeWater Energy.
Correct. Now we're EdgeWater Energy Services. Very much a locally owned, very much a Charleston company. It's the very same staff when we opened up in 2008, so very high level of expertise, as well as the very high, customer satisfaction rate as well.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about solar power, because obviously that's kind of your bread and butter.
Yes. Okay. Well, right now there's a big push by the government to get us off our dependency from the utility companies. So right now, a huge portion of the cost is subsidized. You get a 30% federal tax credit on top of a 25% state tax credit.
That's fantastic. Okay, so if I were wanting to retrofit my house, what's the process to contact you guys and get that going?
Okay. Well, first off, we come out and do a free site alignment on the home to make sure the home's going to be compatible for solar, because unfortunately not every home site is. Okay. We also do an in-depth energy analysis, especially if they're considering photovoltaic for electricity, because it's not about putting modules up on the home. What ties into energy production is energy conservation. So we'll take a close look at how the home consumes energy, what steps they can take to reduce their consumption. Mm-hmm. Most of our recommendations are things that the homeowner takes care of themselves, and other things that a company like mine would address. And if we incorporate renewable energy, we'll show them how between the state and the federal government, they'll subsidize 55% of the cost of the system. And keep in mind, all this is free of charge, no obligation. We look at our mission as kind of being an education process, because we know typically after we go out and do that, typically within a year, what happens, they open up a power bill and it's like, we don't want to do this anymore. And so that's when they typically give us a call.
Okay. And what's involved with a house that's not angled in the correct direction? Does that mean they just cannot get solar from that?
Well, my biggest obstacle are trees, but also the orientation. Mm-hmm. With solar, you can go east-west. West is ideal if that's your only option. But what's ideal is a southern orientation, because the sun will follow a lower horizon during the winter. So as the sun rises, and to the time the sun sets, you want it to be producing power.
Mm-hmm. So, and if they aren't oriented in that direction,
we let them know that.
Okay.
But then we can introduce other things that they're able to at least reduce their, electrical consumption.
The solar attic fan, right?
Yes.
Okay. What's involved in that, and why would someone need that?
Well, down here it gets pretty hot and humid.
Yes.
And especially when you have ductwork and air handlers up in the attic, a lot of people will use active ventilation. Mm-hmm. But what we see down here a lot are the electric attic fans. Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, there's an annual cost to run that fan, and they don't typically last very long down here because of the fact that they, pretty much are running all summer long. With the big industrial fan that we're using, typically have the same output as 4 of the smaller fans, but you accomplish the same thing with 3 less holes in the roof. But given its performance level, but mainly because of the fact that it carries a lifetime warranty, it qualifies for the full 55% tax expenditure. So with the fans, we size them out to where, we want to try to get the attic 10 degrees of outside. So you're reducing the temperature in your attic, you're reducing your cooling costs, you're extending the life of the air conditioner, and extending the life of the roof. But the best part about our fan, do you know the annual cost to run it? Zero. And that's one product that, with a lot of people, that's going to be their introduction into renewable energy, because cost-wise, it's very, very attainable. Plus, anything that's going to pay for itself within 3 years, who wouldn't do it?
That. Yeah. And what about your solar hot water heaters? I think that's what I'm most interested in.
Well, with solar hot water, these are, especially if you're heating water with electricity, because out of all the appliances at home, the electric hot water heater is going to be your second largest consumer or consumption of electricity.
Okay.
So
What's
you can.
The first?
Your heating and air, of course,
sense.
okay, and which is about 40%.
I just had to spell it out.
Yeah, that's about 40% of the power bill down here. So, but with electric hot water, that's a typically very quick payback. Of course, the bigger the family, the shorter the payback's going to be. And we basically marry up both technologies. So if the house is total electric, we'll do photovoltaic typically with the traditional thermal hot water system.
Okay, and so just for people that don't understand, photovoltaic means?
Producing electricity. You're taking the energy from the sun, you're exciting the electrons within the silicone wafers in the modules. And what that's doing is producing direct current. We use an inverter to switch it to alternating current, and alternating current is what the lights run off of.
He clearly knows what he's talking about. That is a good explanation.
Well, it's kind of,
for sure.
That's the gist of it. Solar hot water, on the other hand, is different technology. What you're basically doing is we're sending the water up to the collectors during the day, and kind of like imagine a magnifying glass heating that water. So instead of using electricity to heat the water, we use the sun. Now, also, if you're heating water with propane, you want to definitely consider solar as an alternative. The cost of propane has more than doubled over the past few years. Typically, I'm seeing about $600 a year to heat a propane tank. But if you've been watching the news lately, guess what? There's a shortage on propane because of everything being cold. And when there's a shortage, when the demand goes up, what happens to the cost?
Of course, the cost goes up.
The cost goes up as well, yes.
I feel like I'm in a quiz. I think I got that right, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you obviously have a lot of information to dispel, and you do that here at the show. But do you have a website people can go to and learn more?
Yes, they can go to our website, and it's www.edgewaterenergysc.com.
Okay, and what about a phone number to call you or someone else at the company?
Okay, they can reach us at 843-937-9999.
You've been very informative, Jim, so thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We've been speaking with Jim of EdgeWater Energy Services here at the Citadel's Johnson Hagood Stadium for the Charleston Home and Design Show.